won't cry, I won't cry, no, I won't shed a tear, just as long as you stand by me. Whenever I'm in trouble, won't you stand by me? Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand. Won't you stand by me?
All right, so we're live. Here I am just enjoying the music. I don't know. This was amazing. Well, welcome to La Voz Osceola. Judge Chiu just sang to our group over here, Stand By Me. How fitting for what we're doing today. Judge Chiu, that was amazing. I didn't know we were live, so
I didn't know we were live either. I thought I was sound checking.
That's what I thought. But hey, welcome to La Voz, welcome to Matador. I want to thank everyone that's here today, just for coming out and meeting Judge Chiu. I think it's a great incentive that we do here at Maria. Thank you for being part of my world and my life and everything you do for the community. Are we good? So Mariangi, Rosario, tell us a little bit about you, and then we'll go into.
Bueno, feliz de estar aquí en esta
organic.
tarde, y yo sé que para toda la audiencia ha sido como que un toque de conexión ver a nuestro juez invitado en la tarde de hoy tocando la guitarra y con esa canción tan especial. So thank you, Judge, for present yourself as you are, as a musician, as a professional, as a person, as a human being.
Thank you. Lo siento por mi español pobre, pero gracias por la oportunidad tocar la guitarra y canto.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's a little,
Muy bien.
a little better than my English.
Muy bien.
Pero gracias, Jackie. Estamos aquí en esta tarde, en este tiempo especial, producido por La Voz. Y nuestra intención en la tarde de hoy es continuar compartiendo información que eduque a nuestra comunidad. Sabemos que estamos en momentos muy importantes y queremos ser un canal, una plataforma, un foro que ayude a nuestras mujeres, a nuestras familias, a nuestra comunidad en general a tomar decisiones correctas y sobre todo involucrarse en los asuntos importantes.
Gracias, Mariangi, por siempre decir presente. La Voz Osceola, we always direct our programs to the Spanish-speaking residents of Osceola County, and in this occasion, Mariangi does great. Her Spanish is wonderful. My Spanish is okay too, but I prefer English. So then we always do the Spanish and English touch to our program because we understand most of our audience is fully bilingual. In 2019, we started this show called La Voz, and sometimes it was La Voz Poinciana, if Poinciana called us, La Voz St. Cloud. Everyone would call on us, so we decided to just call it La Voz Osceola because it's everyone in Osceola County. And for times like these, where it's election time, we always like to bring to you different candidates. Today, my role is simply as La Voz because we're reintroducing La Voz to the community for this election season. This might be the only show that I open, and then we have guest hosts and hosts that will come in to do the educational piece of this. Because it's our first comeback after a little while, I have the honor of knowing Judge Chiu and the privilege of sitting here with him today, talking and bringing him to you. And if you could please share this video and let people know about the candidates. Moving forward, we've had 7 other candidates reach out. Mariangi, on your platforms, you also do many things for your different, and tell us a little bit about what you're doing to educate the community about and during this important process of elections.
For the benefit of our audience in Spanish, I'm going to speak in my own place, my comfort zone in Spanish. Asimismo, Jackie, estamos bien contentos de ser nuestra comunidad una figura de aporte precisamente para la validación y el posicionamiento y empoderamiento de la mujer. Entendemos que este es el tiempo de mujer y que nosotras como mujeres tenemos tanto tanto que aportar y la sabiduría para poder manejar tantos asuntos, ¿verdad? Esa sabiduría que nos ha dado Dios para ser entes de influencia no solamente en nuestros hogares, sino en nuestras comunidades y en todos los entornos donde haya una mujer. Y precisamente en esa línea que va bien alineada a mi misión de vida, pues tenemos varias plataformas donde trabajamos colaboraciones para continuar educando a la mujer, precisamente Mujer Emprende Latina, que es nuestra organización base, donde desde ese lugar junto a un equipo espectacular de mentoras equipamos a las mujeres para que saquen ese sueño de su corazón y lo pongan en la mesa, para que se atrevan a levantar sus voces y dejarles saber al mundo su validez, su aportación y su capacidad en todos los sentidos. Y desde esa plataforma, porque es importante, Jackie, educar a la comunidad, siempre llevamos a cabo en tiempos electorales un evento llamado Raise Your Voice, con esa iniciativa y motivación de invitar a las mujeres que tengan aspiraciones a posiciones de servicio político a que se levanten y lo hagan. ¿Por qué no? De hecho, tenemos testimonios, algunos testimonios de personas que han sido inspiradas y ya están en posiciones a través de este tipo de eventos donde posicionamos a diferentes candidatas. Así que estén bien pendientes porque estamos comenzando en esta época importante y, como dijimos, Jackie, nuestra función es educar.
Claro que sí. Judge Chiu, we're just explaining the fact that we like to go out to the community, educate. Sometimes the women are the voice of the home and they are an influence over the home, where they will tell their husband or their kids. My kids always come to me and they're both of legal voting age, and they'll say, Mom, whom should we vote for? Because that's something we have to do at home, right? Everyone has to vote, and that's we're big on that. So Mariangi's different platforms will always emphasize on getting to know your candidates, and so all of our different platforms, it takes a village, right? So we're hoping that our different villages can connect and bring out to the community the important voices.
Well, thanks, Jackie. I understand sort of what I understand Spanish a little better than I speak it. Entiendo mejor que lo hablo, but what I heard was a little bit different than what you translated to me, so that's really helpful.
Good. This is all good.
It's just that she gave her personal touch, but it's the same message.
I did the Reader's Digest version of everything she said. So we've got several people in our audience today, and several have either shot out questions. We are going to have people that could walk up and just ask questions so that you could get to know your candidate a little better, and in this case, it's the judge. And Mariangi, correct me if I'm wrong, have we ever had the opportunity to see so many people running for judges out there and actually come out to the community? This is different. We were just talking about
It is totally different and necessary that people know and connect with our judges. That's a position of very importance and influence in our community. Pero la realidad es que nos pasa, ¿verdad? Que no tal vez por desconocimiento, Jackie, creo que hay una falta de educación en cuáles son las funciones de nuestros jueces y cómo, ¿verdad?, estas personas llegan a estas posiciones. Así que para eso hoy tenemos al juez con nosotros y queremos entrar en esta conversación con él, conocerlo en su faceta profesional y conocer un poco sobre cuál es, ¿verdad?, ese proceso de llegar a ser un juez. We would like to know a little more about the process of being a judge and the importance that our community know exactly what are your vision in your profession.
Well, so day to day, I mean, right now I'm in civil, so I handle cases involving lawsuits, and I'm a circuit judge, so lawsuits above $30,000. For about 2 years, so between October 2019 and the end of 2020. Or it's the end of 2021, I was a family judge. So I was hearing cases involving divorces, child custody, child support, and things like that. And I think what's important for people to understand and why these positions are so important is that, you know, a lot of times people don't care who the judges are until it's their case. And then they really care who the judge is. Because judges are the elected officials that are probably most likely, if you have a case in front of them, to impact your life in a meaningful way. You know, they may decide, where the kids go in a divorce. They may decide whether your case gets to trial, whether a piece of evidence that's important to you comes in. If you're, if a loved one has a criminal case, they may make that decision as to what happens, with them at sentencing. Or if you're a victim of a crime, they may decide what happens to that case. So I think that's why the judges' races are so important, because of the way that judges touch people's individual lives.
Wow.
Mariangi, it's interesting that Judge Chiu just said that. It doesn't matter to you until it affects or touches your life.
Interesting.
Elabórame un poquito, ¿verdad? Porque creo que ese es un
Claro.
tema muy importante.
Y creo que va bien a tono con precisamente con lo que se vive. La realidad es que no conocemos cuál es la necesidad o la importancia de seleccionar a nuestros jueces hasta que tenemos nosotros una experiencia personal y necesitamos, ¿verdad?, de ellos en su faceta profesional. Then, Josh, I would like to know what will be then the factors, the elements that people will need to consider to select a judge, because all of you are capable to do your job. You have the title, you have the experience, but what we will need to consider for the selection?
So, I think what you want to look at, is, number one, is what kind of skills, what type of skills and experience does someone bring to the profession? Is it someone who has experience doing trials, doing jury trials? You want to look at, what do the lawyers think? The lawyers, unlike the rest of us, where we might see a judge once in our lifetime, the lawyers spend their lives every day in front of the judges, so they have a very strong understanding of who's good and who's doing a good job. Especially when you're talking about an incumbent judge like myself, you have a track record. There is a, the lawyers know whether I'm doing my job well or not doing my job well, and I'm like, for me, I'm blessed to have a lot of support, overwhelming support from the lawyers in our community. The trick is that, it's most people don't know and don't really have an understanding of what it takes. But the other thing I would say is this: just having a judge who understands the law is important. Having a judge who will work hard, that's important, because your case will get heard quicker. Having a judge, but I think what makes a judge truly great, though, is the ability for empathy, the ability to treat everybody in front of them and believe that their cause and their hopes and dreams that are wrapped up in a case are just as important as anybody else's, and to know that, someone's going to win or lose a case inevitably, but you want someone who can do it in a way where everybody feels like they were heard, everybody feels like their cause was honored, and everybody feels like they were treated fairly.
That's
And
interesting.
that's not something. It's something that you really get to. I think you can only read from the lawyers and by getting to know somebody.
Jackie, la palabra empatía es tan importante. Yo creo que esto es uno de los puntos más importantes que el juez acaba de tocar, y creo que es una de las cosas que más nos importa a todos los que vivimos en una comunidad. Tener líderes que puedan sentir lo que sentimos, que puedan bajarse de los estrados, bajarse de sus plataformas de altura y poder sentir lo que la persona y la comunidad siente.
Creo que eso se explica, ¿verdad? Que la empatía es muy importante cuando estamos mirando la fase de un juez. Empathy is the key word here that you used. And I understand that with empathy, the law, when you see the justice, right, the figure, the lady of justice, it's blind, right? And you know that the law is pretty black and white. But empathy has so much to do, because you do have to understand the people that are before you. And so I think that's important, that we start understanding that the judges, and hopefully we'll never have to go before a judge, right? Because who wants to go before a judge? That's never something, but life happens. And so we have to know who's there. And so that's important. Judge Chiu, how long is your term? What is your, like, how long do you sit at the bench?
So if I'm elected to stay, my term would be 6 years.
Okay, wow, 6 years, that's interesting. And how many judges, that's one of the questions that popped in, how many judges are in the circuit?
Ooh, I think circuit judges, and I don't know off the top of my head, I think there's 66 judges, including the county judges.
Okay.
The number of circuit judges are a little bit lower than that.
Okay.
That means that I imagine that your agenda is very tight, very full, because not too much judges for the whole community necessary.
Right. We actually, so I was actually, my position was created in 2019 because we needed more judges. But frankly, the growth in our circuit has been so immense that, I mean, we're still way behind other circuits in terms of how many judges per person. So yes, I mean, it's a tremendous workload. I think I carry about 2,400 cases.
Wow,
That's
think
a
about
lot.
that. That's a
Eso
lot
es
of cases.
muchísimo.
2,400 casos que puede ver un juez. 6 años. Eso es un término extenso, pero qué importante. Another question that came in is, can you eventually run for Supreme Court Justice? That was a good one.
Gosh, I've actually never really thought about that. So usually those higher courts, you have to be appointed to it.
Okay.
I'm probably never going to be a Supreme Court justice.
So did you get appointed for that, or do you run for that? Is that an
You-
appointment?
You'd have to get appointed.
Okay. And see, those are the interesting things that sometimes we don't see as a judge. We always think judges get appointed for everything. You're picked, you're dubbed, but you're not. People have to actually go out and elect you. It's an elected position. And Mariangi, as we spoke earlier, no hay suficiente ruido cuando tiene que ver con los jueces, ¿verdad? Y creo que es bien importante que esto lo entendamos. En la papeleta hablábamos, Mariangi, que no es en la parte de adelante, sino la posterior.
Y esto es importante y hacemos la parte porque tenemos que buscar esa educación de quiénes son nuestros candidatos. Me parece genial, Jackie, que esta plataforma se abra con ese objetivo de posicionarlos a ellos y de educar a nuestra comunidad sobre cómo votar. Realmente hablemos también de la importancia de agosto como el término precisamente para estas posiciones que afectan directamente a la comunidad. Así que, como bien dijiste, la posición del juez en la papeleta está en la parte de atrás.
So to vote for your judge, you have to go to the back side of the ballot, right? Because a lot of people don't realize that. So we don't tend to turn the page. And so I spoke to another person running for judge, and they said to me, please remind people to turn the page. And that was an interesting observation. We go vote, we fill everything out, we just want to get out, so we forget to turn the page. Is that how it goes for the judges?
I mean, I think it can go that way. And always, I think the other concern is that people, they just don't know, so they either don't engage, or I think even worse, they just pick a name because they don't know. And I think what's fortunate now is that there's so much more information that's available to a voter. I mean, just at their fingertips, on their by looking things up, they can learn a lot about who the candidates are in any race.
Right. Yes. We have a question here from one of our guests here today, Angel Papo Casilla, who's does amazing community work, and he just shot over a question. What motivated you to become a judge?
Well, so I've always had a passion for public service. I went to law school on a scholarship, on a full ride, and because of that, I felt like I had a debt to repay, and that was, I became a lawyer 18 years ago, and I spent the last 18 years really doing my best to try and repay that debt by serving the public. I was a prosecutor. I was a state prosecutor for a little bit, for a few years up in Ohio, and then I became an assistant United States attorney with the Department of Justice. I did that for 12 years, and that was a dream job in and of itself. I mean, I did cases we got to do cases involving hate crimes. I prosecuted terrorism cases.
Wow.
I worked on the Pulse case. All kinds of stuff. But I think what really motivated me to make the switch to the bench was I really wanted to be able to interact with people and interact with real community members day in and day out. And I got assigned a family right after being a federal prosecutor, which is you're going from prosecuting ISIS members to helping people figure out what they're going to do with their custody disputes, and I really enjoyed that.
Wow.
Because you get
Two
to be
extremes.
but you get to
Yeah.
be really in people's lives, and it was actually just remarkably refreshing to be able to kind of help people navigate through the system and to help them problem solve their way through through their family troubles.
Josh, and in the same line, is there any accomplishment that you can tell us in these 6 years of judge career, and any specific satisfaction in your role?
So I've been, and just to be clear, I've been a judge since October 2019. So it's 3 years because you have to run the next time the ballot comes around. In terms of accomplishments, I mean, I think, yeah, there have been some big cases, some cases that have attracted media attention, but I don't view it that way because the things that will attract media attention are the person in front of you is famous, or maybe this one issue is new and unique. To me, the biggest accomplishment is my reputation with the legal community, because what that tells me is that I've treated every case with meaning and importance, because, I mean, every case is the case of the century to the person that's standing there in front of me. So, yeah, I mean, I've had I had a case where involving Bob Saget, where after he died, we sealed some records regarding his investigation, and I was very proud of the way we handled that. We had some pandemic cases where we had to make very difficult decisions with regard to how people were going to see their kids. But it's the overall thing that I feel the most pride of, and my reputation in the legal community.
Fantastic, thank you.
We have another question, and I thank everyone that's watching and sending in questions, and our guest here. And so we're going to ask some questions. Judge, if it's not within the proper purview, you're not allowed to answer, because I know certain things you can't answer. Just let us know, because sometimes in our own, we just don't know. So if we ask a question that's not allowed to be answered properly, we understand that it is what it is. But based on the tragedy that just happened in Texas, and God knows the entire country is feeling the loss. We are all Texas right now. It doesn't matter what part of the country you're in. If something happened in one of the counties that you are a judge, and this might be a different realm, right? Because it's not probably, I mean, I'm not versed in this, but if something happened in one of the counties and you would preside over it as a final sentence, how would you consider the factors? Because this is tough all around. I mean, what's your take on this?
Well, so I can't comment on, any case or any type of case that might come before me and say what I would do or anything like that, because that would be against the, the rules for judges. I can say this, is that, I've got 3 kids, 11, 9, and 6.
Hug them a little tighter.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
And I sent them to school this morning, and much like a lot of parents,
Yes,
it was hard.
it was.
So, I mean, I think what you want in a judge is someone who understands that every one of those kids could be any of our kids,
That's right.
but also who understands that anybody standing in front of you being sentenced could be one of our kids. and could be us. And so those are the hard decisions. And obviously I can't comment on what I would do or what someone should do even. But I think what I can say is that you want somebody sitting in that seat who can feel and understand and take into account each of those players.
Absolutely. That is a very difficult topic. Hablemos de Texas un poquito, ¿verdad? Y entiendo las emociones que corren, porque es algo tan difícil. Y todos tenemos a alguien que podemos identificar, en este caso, Mariangi. El juez tiene niños más o menos de esa edad y por lo tanto creo que nos emocionamos todos un poco porque es algo tan difícil.
Y acabamos de ver en pantalla una imagen del juez con su hermosa familia. Creo que es una situación que todos los padres, ¿verdad? Definitivamente de familia hemos sentido de corazón y que esto trae muchas inquietudes en nuestra comunidad. Juez, Josh, what do you think that our community needs to avoid and eliminate these kind of things that had happened, for example, in Texas these days?
So that's probably another one of the type of question I can't really wade into, because that's where, you know, the politicians make decisions as to what the laws should be, and all you want judges to do is simply to apply them. So I think the answer to that, and that I can give, is really to just be engaged with your politicians, and those are the people that can, you know, the legislators and those folks are the people that can sort of decide what are the best things for society.
Gracias, Mariangi. Un momento difícil, unas preguntas un poco difíciles, ¿verdad? Porque son preguntas que tocan el alma. Y le queremos agradecer aquí al juez Chiu, que está corriendo para reelección. No es elección, es reelección, ¿verdad? Y creo que es importante que todos veamos que hay un ser humano detrás de estos jueces, detrás de estas personas que corren. Y nos afectamos todos, ¿verdad? Nosotros aquí hablando de ese tema, de Texas, como qué motivo, un tema demasiado triste, demasiado fuerte.
Definitivo. Y el punto que dijo el juez hace un rato a la hora de la votación, muchos de nosotros nos hemos visto en la posición de tomar la papeleta y votar por el primer nombre que nos agrade a la vista y a la mente, ¿no? Pero qué importante es poder adentrarnos en sus funciones, en sus capacidades, en esa persona como familia, como padre, como parte de una sociedad. Así que estamos bien agradecidos de esta comparecencia en la tarde de hoy, juez. Sabemos que hay mucho más que podemos aportar de todo lo que hay en su corazón para nuestra comunidad.
Judge Chiu, anything you want to add to the people that watch us and share these in the community as to why when they go out to vote, they should remember your name. Not just, and then we have a kind of a funny little humorous thing that we say, el juez chinito, right? So if you don't remember anything about this conversation, just remember el juez chinito, but this is how he's come across, and Latinos have this thing, Mariangi, right, where le ponemos apodo a todo.
Y de eso nos acordamos.
We remember like all the
we
little
will never forget
things,
el juez
right?
chinito.
We never ever forget things like that. So come up with a punchline, because that's stuck. And he's also the singing judge, but we won't call you that. Well, I'd rather call you el juez chinito, which is kind of fun. But anything you want to share with us before we wrap this up? We don't ever prolong this because we understand some people are just watching us during lunch. So we thank you for coming out. And Mariangi, I want to thank you. But I'd like the judge to say a final few words for us.
Sure. You know, I think the things that I'd love for your viewers to know is that, you know, for me, my parents came to the United States about a year before I was born, and you know, much like yourself, they sort of, you know, scratched out a foothold in the, you know, through small businesses. You know, I remember as a kid, my parents, you know, opening up a restaurant and it not succeeding and closing it and going back in waiting tables, and and eventually they were able to kind of get one to stick. And I sat in the back and did my homework and watched them operate. And so I think there are some things that are where the language is universal, and it is sort of an understanding of, look, I understand what it's like to feel like you're on the outside looking in. I feel like I think I understand the feeling of having to prove your Americanness every day. But at the same time, I also know that there are, that there are wonderful things about this country and about our system of government and the justice system too, that allows it, if it's operating the right way, to sort of be the great keeper of promises. And I think that's how I view this role, is that my job is to make sure that all of the promises in the law, all of the promises in the Constitution, they get kept in the process of people's court hearings. And I do think that is an empathy and understanding and hard work are all universal languages. And I wanted to speak in English because I wanted to be able to speak from the heart. But I'm going to give this. I'll give this a try. I want people to know that mi corazón, mi pasión, es por la comunidad. Mi corazón está este servicio ustedes y tus familias, and muchas gracias, and I appreciate the time, and I just hope people can see my heart and why I do this. So thank you so much.
Yo creo que definitivamente lo hemos visto. Lo hemos visto, lo hemos
Lo
sentido,
hemos sentido.
el corazón de
Hay cosas que no se dicen, que se
Wow,
sienten, ¿verdad?
Excelente. Y palabras importantes, audiencia, que quiero que recuerden de este tiempo: la empatía, esa conexión de una figura como él con las necesidades de la comunidad, y habló al final de Promise Keepers. Yo creo que eso es una frase que no necesita traducción. Necesitamos gente que adopte sus palabras y las ponga por obras en todas sus posiciones. Y ese es el juez.
Thank you.
Gracias.
She just dubbed you the promise keeper.
y recuerde el juez chinito.
El juez chinito. El juez chinito.
Jackie, a mí me encantaría, no sé si nos es posible, pero imagínate que bien sería que cerráramos con el juez nuevamente interpretando alguna
Definitivamente.
canción.
Ahora sí,
Así
recuerden esto, tenemos que salir a votar en agosto. Las primarias son importantes. Hay ciertas carreras que cierran en agosto. Luego de agosto ya no vas a ver el nombre en la papeleta. Nosotros los latinos tenemos que salir a votar en agosto, en las primarias. Early voting. Tenemos que salir temprano, no esperen, porque el juez, your race will only be seen in August, am I correct?
Sí.
Sí, porque
Yes.
yes. Muy bien. Sí, sí, señora.
Agosto 23.
Agosto 23. Pero podemos salir desde el día 8 a votar. Qué importante, Marianne. Ese es el mensaje. Me encanta tu concepto, que el juez nos cante una canción o la
Claro
misma.
que sí, claro que sí.
Y gracias.
recordemos, Jackie, que nosotros como comunidad somos una comunidad creciente, una comunidad poderosa, y nada mejor que poder expresar nuestro sentir y levantar nuestra voz a través del voto. Así que yo creo que esta va a ser una super elección este año, y esa es nuestra invitación para toda nuestra audiencia en la tarde de hoy. ¿Nos preparamos para escuchar al juez?
Claro que sí. So she wants you to go up
wants
there
me to
and
sing again.
of
Okay.
course, because the first one was really like the dress rehearsal. This is the wedding. So we are going to listen to Judge Chiu as we close out today's segment. And I want to thank everyone that was out here. Marianji, I look forward to seeing what you bring for the education platform, for us, for politics. Estoy muy emocionada de todo lo que tú siempre traes, lo que el juez se prepara para cantar un poquito acá, porque nuestro juez es un ser humano como todos los demás.
Así mismo. Y bueno, bien
Lindo.
pendiente, nosotros en nuestra organización llevamos a cabo el evento de Raise Your Voice y esta será una plataforma con todas las mujeres que aspirantes y candidatas a posiciones electorales. Eso lo vamos a estar llevando a cabo en los próximos meses y lo hacemos como parte de nuestro gran sentido de educación a la comunidad y de posicionar a estas mujeres y de que nos hablen de cuáles son sus visiones hacia el futuro, sobre todo los problemas que atañen a la mujer de hoy. Así que continuamos, juez, ¿estamos listos?
Well, I guess I better come up with something to sing then. Give me one moment. Let's see. I suppose I could take requests. The only song I know in Spanish is Feliz Navidad. Oh, I definitely don't know any songs in Chinese. So. Can you hear me? Is the guitar coming through? I found love for me. Darling, just dive right in. Follow my lead. Well, I found a girl, beautiful and sweet. I never knew you were the someone waiting for me. So we were just kids when we fell in love. Wondering what it was, I will not give you up this time. Darling, just kiss me slow. Your heart is all I own, and in your eyes I'm holding mine. Baby, I'm dancing in the dark with you between my arms, barefoot on the grass, listening to your favorite song. When you said you looked a mess, I whispered underneath my breath, you heard it, darling, you look perfect tonight. Yep. Thank you so much.